Welcome to the Jane Doe Project. We're glad to have you with us. We ask you all to stay, if you so choose. After the performance, we will have a talk-back session with myself and the cast. At that time, you can pose any questions, comments, concerns you may have for us about the program, about any of the topics addressed in the program. We're also available if you're interested in being involved next year. Throughout the program, there are counseling services located in the back by the doors. If at any time you feel the need to use it, please do so, and they will be also available afterwards. I didn't create Jane. She found me. In all the little ways you can't realize until you take a big step back. Jane was in the back of her mind when Shana Rakowski decided to focus her Insignis Honors Project on ending violence against women. Jane was standing next to her when Shana was told by Aquinas' president that while he appreciated her passion and hard work, our Catholic campus was not the right place for the production of Eve Ensler's Vagina Monologues, the original plan to raise awareness on campus. But from that disappointment, Jane whispered in Shana's ear to tell her story. Jane was in each of the original 9 women who opened old wounds, in some cases for the first time, exposing scars that would never fade, and told their stories to her, a stranger with an ancient tape recorder. In those women, she saw strength and a beauty she had not known existed. Jane sat by her and kept her fingers moving as she wrote their stories late into the night. As the performance began to slowly materialize, countless professors, students, faculty members, and community members were constantly found to lend a hand. And without every single person involved, Jane would have never fully come to life. They are owed the utmost gratitude. On March 19th, 2009, Jane Doe was presented to the community for the first time, and she was received with open arms. That night, 6 women's organizations and a local band were there to raise awareness and take a big step towards ending the deadly silence that shrouds violence against women. 1 year later, the play, with some fresh and equally exquisite faces, was performed again, and its equal success proved that Jane was here to stay, and she had more stories to tell. Last year was the final showing of the original script, because once again, Jane whispered, we still had work to do. As the Jane myself in the second performance, I was struck by the honesty and the importance of the project, and saw to it myself that Jane would not fade into the distance, but sustain and flourish to new heights. Without any notion of any way in which I was supposed to go about it, I jumped right in. Through somewhat convoluted means, I acquired a cast of all new Janes and one John. Countless hours were spent getting to know the stories of the women we would portray, blocking, and getting the word out. And we went in with a goal, to raise awareness on campus, not just for women, but for equality and empowerment. And it went off with a smashing success. But what next? The production had become bigger than myself or any of us involved. Through it, we had formed a support system that dramatically changed each of our lives and formed a deep bond between the members of the cast and those likewise involved. So we talked late into the night about relationships, expectations, injustices, inequalities, pain and triumph, and realized that in order for the project to really accomplish all the things that it fights for was to grow and to keep on growing. It needed to serve as an outlet for further Aquinas women and a new emphasis, men, to come forward and end their silence. We had built and fortified the foundation, and the only way out was up. That's when Aaron Lotus, a cast member this evening, came in and took the reins, conducting new interviews in the name of Jane. What you have before you tonight is the culmination of this wonderful healing journey. 8 new monologues, 2 given by men. Around you, you see the stories that have come before, still here, still just as important and as relevant as the women whose stories they are. What you see tonight will be the only showing of the script as is. For the next time it will be performed, there will be, once again, new members and new stories to tell. I encourage you to join in the journey, as we have, and engage in a partnership with the project, and return to her year after year. Because the fact of the matter is, Jane isn't going away. Coming to know Jane has changed my life. She has forced me to fully understand the urgency of the play's message. Silence is deadly. She reminds me that there is something greater worth fighting for. She tells me that I am strong, and she reminds me that I am loved. Jane has become our voice, and I hope by the end of the night, Jane can come to mean something to you as well. Whether or not it happens depends on whether or not you let Jane into your life. Enjoy.
In the name of justice.
In the name of love.
In the name of humanity.
In the name of womankind.
In the name of our past, present, future. In the name of our children, my sisters, my mother, my friend.
I end the silence tonight.
In the name of future generations.
In the name of preservation.
In the name of the story I have to tell.
In the name of Jane.
I am Jane.
I am Jane.
I am Jane.
I am
Jane.
Jane.
I am Jane.
I am Jane.
I am Jane Doe.
Hello everyone and welcome to the show. On today's segment I'm here with author, mother, student, teacher, doctor, and new feminist Jane Doe. Hello Jane.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Now Jane, that's quite the list. How can you do all those things?
Well, I think it helps to know that I'm not just one woman.
Now call me crazy, but what you're describing to me is what some people might think of as a multiple personality disorder.
Jane Doe is really a symbol, a faceless woman that represents all women.
Then who exactly is Jane Doe?
Jane Doe is every woman, past, present, and future, whose voice was suppressed because her generation failed to understand who she is and was.
Okay, I think we're getting there.
For countless generations, women and the abused, they have been forced to undergo simply because of their sex. They have been silenced by stereotypes and societal expectations.
Jane Doe is meant to be a figurehead whom we can all rally under to end the silence.
But isn't there equality in America? And these societal expectations are more like man-hating propaganda than reality.
I honestly wish they were, but the reality is much more complex and dangerous than that. Throughout history, women have been susceptible to violence on such a mass scale that because of silence and because people continue to honestly believe that feminists are man-hating whiners, this war continues today.
Rape is a tactic still used in war in places such as the Middle East and Africa. But really, it's not so much different from things that are going on in our own neighborhood. When a woman is raped, it keeps all women worldwide on a less than equal level.
So what do you want people to do about this war?
We need to educate and raise awareness because, like I said, violence against women is mass-scale genocide that a majority of people are not aware exists. The first step is to get people involved.
There are so many organizations out there already, so we're not asking you to reinvent the wheel, but rather to help the people that are already fighting.
You can do this through something as simple as a monetary donation, or something as time-consuming as volunteering as an advocate. The important thing is we do this on a consistent and sincere basis. We can't just look at a problem, say, oh, what a shame, and move on.
We need to keep fighting the system in whatever way we know how, with a passion that forces people to pay attention. Only then will we be able to make the world a better and safer place, and to end this war against women.
So what you're saying is, you can't change what you don't acknowledge, and once you acknowledge it, you must be willing to change it.
Exactly!
They say what?
They say a woman and a mule do what is expected of them.
They say that where?
Spain!
I will will not listen to your jokes about cocks and sex, so you call me innocent. I walk away from your stories of wild nights and refuse to watch porn with a PG-13 rating, so you say I'm naive. Don't you get it? To me, sex is painful, frightening. Sex is rape. No, you would prefer to say that I am innocent. I live a double life. Do you understand? No, you don't. Because in order to understand, you would have to care. Care about my past, my present, care about the neglect, the words of ice and fire, care about the haunted images that fizzle through my subconscious. In these flashbacks, I am bent over, forced to grope a knife down my throat. Innocent? Bitch, I was giving blowjobs when you were still playing with dolls. It wasn't a choice, it was force. It was do it or I'll kick your ass. Tell anyone and I will kill you. Humiliation, disgust, anger. You tell me I'm naive? You tell me to go home if I can't handle your jokes. But every crevice of my home is a painful memory waiting to burst forth from the dark box in the back of my mind. I have no shelter, no happy memories of childhood adventures and games. My brother has been staring at my body since I was 4. We played basketball with his erection digging deep into my back. And while I tried to shoot, he wanted to score. My truth or dare was more like suck or bend. It stabs the mind, and yet you with your ignorance and judgment dare to ask, if you didn't like it, why did you keep going back? Don't you remember? Remember what it was like to not have a voice? To never have a choice? To be 6 or 10 or 13, and the world is so big, but your neighborhood is so small, and your words are meaningless. Don't try to blame me for the sins of others. I didn't go back. It was force. It's a different thing. I know you call me inexperienced, but do you know what the world looks like the morning after you fail a suicide attempt? What is experience to you? To me, it is manipulation. It is dread. It is a lifetime of painting over the mold that just keeps seeping through and spreading over my life. And still, I wonder, what if? What if you knew my past? What if you knew the secrets that simmer beneath the paint? Would you pity me? Become afraid of me? Would you be able to keep looking at me the same way? What if you knew why? Why I am confused at the thought of being called sexy? Why having a boyfriend is frightening to me? Why I walk away when you make a slur about my body, my mind, my inner self? What if you understood the lifetime it takes to put the pieces back together? You can call me jaded, broken, maybe even cynical, But do not, for a moment, make the mistake of presuming that I am innocent.
She says what?
She says tremendous amounts of talent are being lost to our society just because that talent wears a skirt.
Who says that?
Shirley Chisholm.
As women, we like having guys for friends. We really do. It's when the guy is nice, with good teeth and strong family values and doesn't have bags of hair in his closet, that we want to take the relationship to something more. But of course, you can never have that honest conversation with someone. That would ruin everything. So instead, you are forced to endure the most difficult and confusing episode in female dating history, the non-date. Let me run you through it. You thought it was a date, so you get extra dressed up and you put on that expensive shampoo and hair products and wear those amazing heels that haven't broken in yet. So you're probably going to have easy blisters tomorrow. But when he came to pick you up, you thought it was all worth it, because I mean, look at him! You go to the movies, and you get to the ticket window, and you look at him. And you keep looking at him with the awkward, "Are you gonna pay?" And eventually he's like, "Oh, I got this one." And you're like, "Yes! He paid, this has to be a date." And now you are so happy that you wore the perfume with the pheromones in it, because the pheromones will make him useless against your charm. And this will be when you stop becoming just friends and become something sexier. At the end of the date, he walks you to your door, and your head is just going, "Yes, this guy can meet my parents!" And your legs are all wobbly because he should be going in for the kiss right now. The kiss! And now your stomach's going all blah, 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 and you feel like you just might have to fart. Because you are really excited, and that always happens at the worst time. And even though your gastric system is quickly eroding, you have to manage to use the coy head tilt and lick your lips, but not too much, because then he might think you have some weird lip-licking fetish, and that would be the worst thing ever, next to farting. But just enough for him to notice your lips and think, "Gee, my lips would look really good on hers. Maybe I should try that." You start to mentally flip through the last issue of Cosmo, because they had to have some article about how to end the date with a kiss. Maybe it was next to the picture of the really, really hot guy with his shirt off. Maintain eye contact! Flip your hair, smile, stick out your chest, smile, maintain eye contact, and this is where things start to go horribly wrong. You see, one of two things will happen. One, you stand there making awkward goodbye conversation. "Okay, see ya, yeah, this is fun, we should totally do this again." But neither one of you is moved, and there's like this invisible Jedi force field in between the two of you. And your arms are kind of flapping like a penguin, attempting to wave without making it look like you want a hug. And he says, "Okay, see ya," and wanders off. Or rewind, this will happen. You stand in the doorway, and you tilt your head up so lovingly, but try to maintain eye contact, because that's how they do it in the movies. And he's going in! Oh my gosh, this is amazing. This is everything you wanted. His embrace is so good. Look at those strong arms. Oh, and I bet he smells great. He smells like boy! Okay, and this is a little awkward for the beginning of a kiss, but I mean, in the movies, you know, they usually kiss, then embrace, but you're different. You're a rebel, like Batman. I can dig that. And now you're walking away. And that was the non-date.
They say what?
They say never trust a horse or a woman.
They say that where? Turkey.
In high school, I wasn't a popular girl.
I was never a man.
I didn't have the best self-esteem, and that transferred into my undergrad. I'd never had guys looking at me before, paying attention to me. I grew up feeling like I was worthless. I hated myself for no good reason. It was my low self-esteem and my lack of knowledge about the world that played into a lot of things.
Too much time in the mirror, he'd say. My father, with his authoritative stance, standing over me. The same condescending look he gave to everyone that he thought he was better than. Everyone, basically. You spend more time looking in that mirror than a girl would, he'd say.
When I got here, I was taken advantage of by a guy that I was supposed to be able to trust. I thought we were going to watch a movie, but he kept moving on top of me. I didn't know what he was doing. He tried to kiss me, and I said that I didn't want to. I verbalized that to him, and he said that he understood. But that doesn't mean that he stopped trying to do it.
You hear some things enough, and you start to see them as truth. You don't play sports. No guys want to hang out with you, and no girl will look at you twice. Always absolutes. Never and no one. Never and no one became my best friends.
It didn't occur to me that I should be forceful, that I should tell him to leave. He was a guy, and I wanted a guy to like me. He kept trying to kiss me, kept asking if he could take my shirt off. I just kind of gave in. I was young. I was inexperienced. I didn't deal with these kinds of things. He made me feel like a slut.
What is our deal that we lock up our genders inside of these little tiny check boxes? Play sports? Not enough. Like the arts? So much it's scary. Is that a doll you're playing with? Check, 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 check. Little notches that we cramp ourselves up inside.
That was the first time that I couldn't say no. The second time I couldn't say no was the summer after that. This guy actually took me out to dinner, and I kissed him, and after that we were together. It's funny, I was never really taught the concept of just dating. I always thought, oh my God, I just kissed this guy. Now we have to have a relationship or I'm a slut.
When did being a man become the sum total of how many home runs I've hit? How many girls I've kissed? How many I've taken home? You know, my father, he was a man in all the right ways. Big, loud, in charge.
But this guy was extremely sexually aggressive in a way that I wasn't used to, nor was I experienced in. We went over to his place a lot, and he always wanted to do stuff. It escalated a lot faster than I was really ready for. I didn't know what I wanted, I didn't know what I was comfortable with, and he put a lot of pressure on me.
He'd come home after a busy day, and we'd scuttle around the house in preparation for his arrival. Then he would sit his girth down at the dinner table, make a few remarks about Mom's lousy cooking, and then proceed to tell us everything we had done wrong.
We never actually had sex, but I let him go down on me. He kept wanting to, though, and he kept pressuring me. Just being this weird-ass dude like, oh, I'm gonna give you an orgasm. Isn't that gonna be great? It was so uncomfortable for me, and he was so determined on it. I told him I wanted him to stop, and he said, no, you are so close, I can tell. I literally had to shove him off of me, kick him off of me.
This is what a man does? I'd ask no one. Men take charge, men yell, men fight, men use their fists. They shove, they kick, they scream, they throw things. And the non-men, and the women, they have to take it. Or at least that's what he'd tell me.
After that, I went into the bathroom, I closed the door, I sat on the tile floor, and I just cried. I felt so uncomfortable. He made me feel so dirty. Eventually, he knocked on the door, asking if I was okay. I said yes. He asked if I wanted to try again. It was clear that I was crying, or at least had been crying. And he asks me if I want to try again?
We were always afraid of him. And me, not enough of a man to use my goddamn fists any time that he got bored or angry, just fired up.
After that, I never felt anything when he touched me. I just felt numb. I wasn't turned on. It was like I was completely removed from myself. I ended the relationship after I realized that we were making out and I was watching the television behind his head. And he has no idea that he did anything wrong or that it was a bad situation for me. He didn't know. I technically said yes.
My mother tells a different story. In her story, my dad is doing what he always does, just sounding off like a shrill horn in a highway full of tense traffic.
Over a year later, I was just going to school here, living my life, and I had a flashback of me on that bathroom floor. I didn't understand what was happening to me, but I felt sick, and I felt weak. And I tried to hold back every emotion that I was having at once.
My mom gets caught in the crosshairs as he acts the man, throwing a chair across the room, then threatening to kick us out. When he stops, when he retreats to his corner, my mom, she cries. The frightened, brittle pieces just strewn all across the floor. And that's when I come over.
For the first time in my over-verbalized life, I couldn't think of a damn thing to say. It's like my entire head was just blank. I had nothing. I started to cry. How could I not have something? I didn't know what that meant, and I started to freak out.
I'm not saying a word. Words are for men, like fists, usually. Instead, I just hold her. And there's a moment when I can't tell who's crying. Her or me or her. You know, I think we both are.
I ended up in a stairwell, curled up, knees to my chest, just rocking, crying my eyes out. I kept saying, I don't want to do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. I couldn't pull myself out of it. So that's when I started counseling. And I thought I'd work through it.
When she leaves some years later, she tells me that moment was vital to her decision. She carried it around for years.
It's been so long, but what happened still affects me. It's not that I don't care or that I don't trust the guy that I'm with. I just shut off. Sometimes I start crying, saying that I don't feel anything. I wasn't educated. I was young. I was vulnerable. I didn't have any world smarts or street smarts. I didn't know what I was doing or what I wanted, and I had such low self-esteem. So I was just willing to lay there and take it. I wasn't open about what I was feeling.
And she tells me that in it, I am a man. Because of what I don't do, yell or scream or fight back. Because of how compassionate I am. Because of the pent-up feeling that we shared in a scary moment years ago.
Years later in grad school, I realized I still wasn't past it. I still had a problem. I realized that there were times I still didn't feel anything. My boyfriend and I at the time were getting more sexual, and there were times I would just shut down. I would just be out of my body and not enjoying what I was doing. I ended up in counseling again.
My gender breaks itself out of the weakening expectations of others, and in that moment, I know that I'm a man.
My story isn't Hollywood material. I would really struggle to even call it rape, but how it's affected me has been rather large. Every time I think I've grown, every time I look back at how much I've accomplished, it finds a way to creep back in.
I have always been a man.
Sometimes I just feel numb again.
I have always been a man.
They say what?
They say, if you love your daughter, find her feet. If you love your son, let him study.
They say that where?
China.
So it started off with really little things. Stuff I didn't really pay attention to because we've been together for so long. Like how if I was on the phone, I wasn't allowed to hang up until he told me to. Or when he came to pick me up, instead of coming up to the door, he would honk the horn. Or when he wanted something and I was in the other room, he would whistle for me. And to this day, I cannot tell you why, but I was car horn and whistle trained. My family saw it before I did, but I made excuses for him. I put it off on myself and said it was because I did this, or I didn't do that. And I just kept going on, and it got to the point where I had absolutely no backbone around him. It was awkward as hell. And he didn't let me get any social interaction because he didn't want me around other guys. And I had this one guy friend I'd grown up with, and I remember begging and begging to see him. And when he finally let me, he had to come with. It was so awkward because they'd never met, and all he would talk about was how hard I was to handle, how prudish I was. At the time, I had really short hair, and I remember him saying, "She looks like a lesbian, and not the hot kind. She's ugly as fuck. But at least her hair's growing in, so now she looks more like a woman." He said that right in front of me, and my friend just looked at me like, "Why are you with him?" And then there was homecoming. He let me dance with my friends for like 20 minutes, and then he said we had to go. Part of it was because my mother had held us up taking pictures. She had infringed on his property and time. We ended up in his car, and without even looking at me, he said, "It's my time now. You're mine. Shut up." And I went along with things at first, but then it was too much, and I said, "I'm not doing this. Take me home. I'm not doing this." He was nice and tried to reason with me, but then his patience ran out. He pushed me onto my back and held me down, and I had a hard time fighting back because he was stronger and I was scared. But I managed to roll or something and get him off me. He joked, "Quit being such a spaz." I told him to take me home. He looked at me, put the keys in his pocket, hit the lock button, and said, "We're not going home until you do what I tell you." I started bawling, begging him to take me home. I guess he got sick of listening to me whine or something because he threw my dress back at me. When I was dressed, I joined him in the front of the car, and I apologized. He called me a tease and a slut. He said I had led him on, and if I would have learned to not be such a whore, this would have never happened. It was my fault. I believed him. Always, always, always I made excuses for him. It was my fault. None of it was his. I believed it. I had one friend who didn't see him as a nice guy. She told me what he was doing was abuse. But I'd never heard of emotional or verbal abuse. And I really couldn't see him as an abuser because he'd never really hit me. And she would sneak me out to hang out with her, and I started to realize this was how I was supposed to be living, not doing what he said. And he started to say she was a bad influence. I wasn't being obedient. I wasn't listening to him anymore. I got a therapist. She told me he would escalate. She said it wasn't love if he was treating me like this, and it wasn't. You know, I'm not gonna lie and say that I never thought about going back to him. because there's a part of me that still misses him, and I'm still lonely. But I had friends who told me not to go back to that, and I remembered how much happier I was and how much better my life was after he left. There are still some leftovers of him that reemerge from time to time, but I can look at them as the past now, and I can actually deal with it. And, you know, with the right people around me, my life has returned to a semi-normal life. If life is ever normal.
She says what?
She says, definitions belong to the definer, not the defined.
Who says that?
Toni Morrison.
When I go to the gym, the theme from Jaws starts playing in my head. Damn it! There he is on the treadmill, of course, and yep, he's running on it. I can barely muster up a jog, and there he is just running away, flexing his biceps as he goes. I thought exercise was supposed to be fun and relaxing and the pumping of happy endorphins, but really it just causes stress and anxiety, because no matter what day of the week I go, no matter what time of day, there's always some guy there, and I severely start to question my choice of sweats. But because my relationship with French fries and chocolate milkshakes is deep and real, I decided to enter into the greatest realm of safe sisterhood, yoga class. Thus, I would forgo any run-ins with Marathon Joe and his bulging biceps and gelled hair. It maintained just a little sanity and grace. Namaste. That was as far as I got. I walked in, and all around me were these elegant twig women wrapped in gauze and spandex, their hair pulled back into the perfect messy bun. I, on the other hand, am wearing soccer shorts I forgot to return to an ex-boyfriend, a Gus Macker t-shirt, and my hair slicked back with sweat, because, well, the locker room was a challenge. You see, I haven't been naked in a room full of people since I was birthed. I don't do naked unless the lights are off, period. So instead of burying all my glory in front of my athletic sisters, I spent 20 minutes in a bathroom stall trying to get my pants off. So here I come, lumbering in like a bull in a china shop as the delicate flowers do some basic stretches around me. And I thought, okay, I can do this. The instructor was tranquil. And her voice sounded like this.
I want you all to start in a seated position, legs crossed. Other way. Close enough. And now I want you to get into a basic plank. And we're going to go into up dog, downward facing dog. Then I want you to come down into chaturanga and into up dog.
It smells like feet.
And come back into downward facing dog.
Oh, thank God.
Now bring your right leg forward into a lunge and twist your upper body to the left. And remember to keep your back flat and your core tucked.
Is that even possible?
And hold the pose.
What is he doing here? You've got to be kidding me. How am I supposed to do this with him staring at me 5 feet away?
And remember to breathe.
Oh, really? I thought I could do without it. I'm just so zen right now.
Now we're going to move on to the floor into a bridge. And keep your knees bent and slowly raise and lower your delicate buttocks.
What? It probably thinks it's something sexual, like some crazy fertility exercise. It's not. It's yoga. You creepy pervert.
And remember to breathe.
You act like you're staring at your iPod, but I'm onto your game. Just stop looking at me. Stop looking at me. It was right about then that the treadmill suddenly stopped while he was running full speed. I guess that's karma.
They say what?
They say women, like gongs, should be beaten regularly.
They say that where? The U.S. of A.
adoptive home. They had 2 boys, but they wanted a girl really badly. I guess I had a fairly normalish childhood. Pretty stereotypical 1950s upbringing. I was supposed to be petite and not act too smart in school. Dumb it down, otherwise the boys won't like you. They brought me up in pink ribbons and lace. Bought me little matching bra and panty sets when I was about 5. I remember these filmy little nighties that were basically negligees. But I was a kid. I thought it was cool to play grown up. Now I realize there was something wrong with that. My father always made comments like, so round, so firm, so fully packed. Creepy stuff. Not cool. But nothing really happened until I was 14. We went on a trip, and I had to sleep in the same bed as my dad because my parents didn't sleep together. They had twin beds at home. And in the middle of the night, he did this sneak from behind. It wasn't violent, it wasn't a fight, he didn't hold me down. But it was still rape. It was creepy, and it was so disgusting. But it was a one-time thing, so I figured, what was the big deal? But it made me so angry. I didn't know how to handle it. I was 14. Where was I supposed to go? What was I supposed to do? I didn't want it to tear our family apart. I didn't think my mom would understand. In my head, I figured she must not have been giving him any, so he must have been desperate. I made all kinds of things up. I wondered if I had asked for it. When I was older, my mom asked me why I treated my dad so crappy, and it just spilled out. I finally told her. And without any hesitation, she started talking about the grocery list. She had to have known. Why would you put a 14-year-old girl in a bed with her dad? She knew what he was like. I lived with this dark, nasty secret, and it affected all my relationships with men. There are so many things I didn't understand, reactions I had. I used to pride myself on being one of the guys. I could hang with the guys, I could drink with the guys, I could have casual sexual affairs like guys. I was promiscuous. I used sex for influence, not for my own pleasure. I just used it. Coping mechanism is what my counselor called it. I went through a lot of sick relationships. I had friends that weren't good for me, boyfriends that weren't good for me, a first husband that wasn't good for me, and a 5-year relationship with an alcoholic. I had a sick upbringing. I had sick things happen to me. So I just kept picking sick relationships and repeating bad, sick habits. I just kept everything buried down so deep. I didn't get counseling, I didn't work through it until I was in my 40s. It's hard to take it out and look at it, but instead of burying it back down again, I can put it on the shelf so I can help someone. The only good thing that came out of it is that now I can help others. I can kind of sense it, I guess. The same story inside someone else, and I can find a way to talk about it. What happened to me was awful, but I'm able to do something positive with it. After I started counseling, it was like the beginning of a new life. I got friends, supportive friends, great friends, and healthy relationships. It felt so good to put it all behind me. It's part of who I am. It's still there, but I don't let it control me anymore. I realized that I had been waiting for a white knight, a knight in shining armor, with a horse and all that kind of stuff. But I realized you have to save yourself. So I did.
They say what?
They say an educated woman and too salty a soup are both unappetizing.
They say that where?
Germany.
I am a strong woman. I am brave, confident, intelligent, and fierce. I am in control of the situations I am in, conduct myself with dignity, and carry myself with pride. My strength comes from my mother, who for 25 years has lived oppressed by the man she married, plagued by chronic illnesses, constantly in emotional and physical pain.
but approaches the world with a bright and shining heart, kept lifted with the relationship she bears with me, her daughter. I am brave because I learned to fight back. When he hit me, I hit back. And by the time I was 11, I was strong enough, and he got scared and stopped. But he hit me again when I was 17, and I threatened to press charges, and he got more scared. I am confident because I spent years being told there was no way my intelligence could compete with his, but I excelled, and I did it all without an ounce of his intelligence. I have gotten here because of me and my efforts. I am intelligent because I had to be for my mother. When it came to my dad's opinion of her, he was surprised she even knew how to make her neck support her head. But I could show him. The women in our family could be brilliant, despite his opinion or acceptance of us. I am in control of the situations I am in, because for years I was locked in the prison of my father's own desires. Raised in a bad way himself, he transferred all the childhood memories he wished he had into my life. He exercised supreme control. It took years for him to realize I wouldn't give it to him anymore, that I was my own damn person. I conduct myself with dignity because after feeling for 18 years the lack of acceptance love, I try to find it in other ways. I keep a black book of the men I've been with. They are 15 in 2 years. But I maintain my virginity. Barely. Then I was assaulted. Only just beyond the cusp of slipping back into the suicidal depression I suffered in high school, I persevered and maintained. And I am healthy. I am a beautiful woman, and the next man I associate myself with will be the one who has the same sense of dignity to take me out first. I carry myself with pride because I have ownership in my life and my person. I am well-liked, well-loved, passionate, and active, and I strive for the enhancement of others and myself. I have direction and ambition, and I have suffered immensely. I still suffer from time to time. But I have achieved what many don't even have an awareness of, and that is self-examination. I acknowledge, I accept, I grow, I move on. I became everything he wasn't. I emulate all the good things I didn't experience. My relationships are healthy and supportive, and I am an open door of experiences and kindness. My experiences have destroyed me, but they have likewise destroyed my ignorance. And I have filled the voids with awareness and perception, fighting for the very injustices I likewise suffer, the emotional instabilities I am plagued by. My experiences have made me who I am, and I love who I am. I am a beautiful woman, and I will keep being so.
They say what?
They say the boys never meant any harm against the girls. They just wanted to rape.
They say that where?
Kenya.
I had dreams. I was going to be an author, a dancer,
A psychologist,
A lawyer.
A mother.
A doctor.
A journalist.
A wife.
A graduate student.
but that night, I went out. And maybe my skirt was a little too short.
maybe I drank too many drinks.
Maybe I didn't pick my keys up fast enough.
Maybe I shouldn't have invited him into my home.
Maybe I wasn't nice enough to him at work.
Maybe I was too nice to him at the party.
But did that give him the right? Society tells me to stay silent.
I was raped.
I was raped.
I was raped.
He tore my insides apart. Over and over, the glass cut deeper as bruises and scars were made on my throat, my arms, my thighs, my head, my life. He told me I asked for it.
He told me to shut the fuck up.
He told me I smelled like sex.
He told me he would kill me.
I thrashed, I screamed, I cried. But in the end, I made no sound. He told me I wanted it.
He told me he loved me.
He told me he hated me.
He told me I liked it.
I bled for days, weeks after it happened. I am still bleeding, but now only I can tell. It hurts to be touched.
It hurts to have
He broke through and battered my identity to hell. He used a condom.
He used a fist.
He used a pill.
He used a bottle.
He used a gun.
They tell me it will all go away one day. It will heal like an old cut. But I am still trying to put the pieces back together.
I still sleep with my shoes on.
I take antidepressants. My clothes are a size too big.
I committed suicide.
I will never be a mother.
I couldn't finish school.
He took a piece of me that I am still trying to find.
My piece of security. My piece of belonging.
My piece of work.
My piece of trust.
My piece of hope.
I felt numb on the stand as society blamed me. You looked at him.
No.
You enticed him.
No.
You asked for it.
No.
2 years, 5 years, 12 months probation, a slap on the wrist that he wouldn't even feel as I try to put my pieces back together. He left me broken.
He left me damaged.
He left me scarred.
He left me powerless.
But he made me a survivor.
They say what?
They say what is said by a woman, be it little, be it much, is a lie.
They say that where?
Turkey.
Over and over, it keeps replaying in my mind these jagged rhymes. A mother doesn't do that. What man did this to you? It was no man. Mother crawled into bed with me, 4 years old. I pretended to be asleep while she caressed my chest between my thighs. Mom? Incoherent, she won't remember. It always starts with too many drinks. 5, 10, 15. How many years until I can say the words to make her stop? Mommy! 14. The blade against my flesh. It feels so good. It calms me, soothes me, the way her arms are supposed to. Mom. Therapists, counselors, let's stop your cutting fixation. I told them what she did to me. Mother, Mom, Mommy. They replied, liar, liar, liar. Years go by. Freedom comes with 4 wheels. License to drive, license to leave, license to live. Freedom to let myself be separated from mother, mom, mommy.
They say that feminism is dead.
They say real feminism is spinsterhood.
They say feminism has become a catch-all vegetable drawer.
They say feminism is a socialist, anti-family political movement that encourages women to leave their husbands, kill their children, practice witchcraft, and destroy capitalism and become lesbians. Wow, all that power and we still don't have a female president? They must be spending too much time on those Rush Limbaugh voodoo dolls. Duh, clearly they're concentrating on destroying capitalism. Obviously, there is some confusion among the masses as to what feminism really is. Anti-feminist propaganda is being splattered about. And yet they haven't even read a single piece of real feminist literature or talked to a feminist. You'd think they would at least Google before they raped. Witchcraft? Seriously? Come on, guys. The worst part is, these few misguided individuals frustrate the mainstream so much that most people, men and women, just sigh and give up. Okay, women can work, they're equal enough, it's fine. But it's not fine. I am what I call a new feminist. I'm going to give you 2 words that clearly define what feminism means. Ready? Excited? Here they are. Equality and empowerment. There you go. And I'll bet there are a few you guys out there saying, hey, that's me. And it is. I can't tell you how many times someone has come to me and said, feminism is confusing, or you can't be a feminist, you're wearing makeup. The truth is, for society to better understand what feminism is, we need to redefine it, to explain that it comes in all forms. As long as we are fighting to achieve those 2 words, that's feminism. You're a feminist. Welcome to the club. We have cookies. My great-grandmother's feminists fought for the right to vote. My grandmother's feminists fought for the right to work. And my mother's feminists fought for the right to be free from harassment and abuse in the workplace. My feminists, the new feminists, we fight for common ground, an equal voice in the darkness, the right to be who we want to be. And I know it sounds obscure and it's very open-ended, but that's the point. The new feminist believes that no matter what she wears, confidence is key. I wear lace Victoria's Secret bras, mid-thigh skirts, 3-inch heels, and yes, even makeup. But I wear what I want, and I do it because it makes me feel good, not because society tells me to. Although, if my man happens to mention the way my curves look in a particular dress, I just might wear it around him more often. And that's another thing. The new feminist loves men, but we want men in our lives who are respectful, who appreciate our strength, and who enjoy us for our individual quirks. We want men who just make us happy. We love men who inspire us to be the best of ourselves and to encourage us to keep pressing forward in whatever our goals may be until they are reached. And yes, you can be a new feminist and get married and have children. I know, it's true. We don't kill our young. Who would have thought? I'm a new feminist because feminism is necessary. There is an underlying inequality in our world, and people are content to say, close enough. The word feminist is an identity, a band of solidarity for those who will not be content with less than 100%. Because why should we be satisfied with close enough? We are constantly fighting for peace. Why aren't we constantly fighting for equality? After all, you cannot have one without the other. You cannot oppress and victimize an entire group and still claim there is peace. Feminism is necessary because misogyny and inequality still exist. And until those practices and beliefs end, there is still work to be done. And until the fight is over, I will stand before you in my 3-inch heels and proudly declare myself a new feminist.
They say that where? They say a good woman and a bad woman both need the rod. They say that where?
Argentina. Hide and seek. Just a game. A fun game, right? If I started talking to you about hide and seek, your mind would instantly flash back to awesome memories of childhood fun and games. But you don't understand what I think, what I feel, when I think about hide and seek. It's not fun, not for me. When I was 9, I had this good buddy, this special friend, or that's what he called it. He was a few years older, but we'd play together all the time. Guess what we played? Hide and seek. Life really sucks when you trust people and they screw you over. It's not fun. We were at his house, And I was thinking to myself, oh, sweet, this is awesome. They have all these cool places to hide. It was supposed to be fun. Now, when you're playing hide and seek and your buddy finds this really cool place to hide, you want to hide there with him too. Fun, right? Well, sometimes people take advantage of little kids and it's not fun. It's not fun. We were in a closet and when someone touches you and it's not okay and you're really young, you just don't know what to do. I spent like 10 minutes in there just freaking out mentally because my special friend was kind of being a jerk. And I just thought, okay, I'll just get out of here and I'll forget it. And so I hid it away. It's just been hiding. I meant to tell my parents, but life got in the way. A year later, it happened again. Apparently, my special friend had a thing for closets because it happened in another closet. It's not a game! It's not fun! And I just remember my family would be hanging out with his family, and I just didn't want to be in the same room with him because what was going to happen? They were family friends, and I didn't know how not to be around him. And so I hid it. Just locked it away in a closet somewhere where nobody could see it, and I didn't have to think about it. When I was old enough to figure out what had really happened, I got pissed. And I thought, hey, I'll tell the cops and it'll be okay, and he won't be able to hurt anyone else. I checked, and the statute of limitations had already passed. And I was like, damn it! It's done! I can't do anything! I can't tell my parents or my brothers because something bad will probably happen! I can't do anything! Life really sucks when you trust people that you've known your entire life and they just ruin that. And now it's really hard to trust people. I take everything anyone says with a grain of salt. If I don't have a reason not to trust them, I just don't. It's so hard to trust people. And it's not fun. It's not fun because he probably doesn't even remember. It didn't screw up his life. He's not the one left hiding. Hide and seek. It's not fun. So I'm not playing anymore. I'm done hiding.
She says what? She says we gain power in our refusal to accept less than we deserve.
Who says that? Amber Hollybaugh.
The pickup line. Tasty morsels of errant insanity running wild. Around your tongue and past your lips, they flutter into my ears.
Hey, baby, you got some fries to go with that shake?
I'm allergic to potatoes. You say them without hesitation. You think my legs are set a quiver, but those nachos I had for lunch are making a second debut.
Hey girl, are you from Tennessee? Because you're the only 10 I see.
I'm from Michigan. Where do they come from? These weapons of mass destruction must have been conducted in some lab of beer pong, Baywatch, and Futurama.
I've got this thirst, baby girl, and you sure do smell like my Gatorade.
It's Clinique Happy. Spreading like toxic chemicals, these hallmarks of the dude smell my gym bag culture are infiltrating bars, clubs, bus stops, and classrooms. Charming? Cute? Not exactly.
You do to my mind what White Castle does to my bowels. Just running all day.
There's a pill for that. You come towards me past the sea of testosterone and estrogen intertwined in the mating dance. I know you will say those words of paralyzing disgust.
Hey, baby, if you were a booger, I'd pick you first.
I have a tissue in my purse. You think you have won me over. I'm frantically searching for the nearest neon exit sign. I do not want your oogling eyes. I do not need your smarmy words.
Hey, yo, what up, girlie? You must be an adjective. Oh, no, I mean an adverb, because you sure do modify me.
I modify myself.
They say what?
They say women's tears are a fountain of craft.
They say that where?
Italy!
Dear Diary, my therapist says I should be writing stuff down. Good way to heal, blah, blah. But I'm just gonna go with it. I'm a college sophomore. I'm also a lesbian. You know, I don't know what I'm supposed to be writing. I'm supposed to be dealing with this recent thing that happened. She said it might be a good idea to look into my past, my childhood, typical shrink stuff. I don't remember a lot from when I was younger, just fragments of memories. I remember people telling me that when I was in preschool, during nap time, I would hold myself between my legs and rock from side to side. And I couldn't get to sleep without doing that. I've also been told that a social worker came to our house at some point or another. I remember people asking me who was abusing me, but it was before what I even knew what that word meant. Shit, I really don't like bringing this stuff up.
Dear John, you said you loved me. 5 years older, my first serious boyfriend, and you said you loved me. But then you wanted more. You wanted more things sexually. I said no. And you said okay. You said okay. So why did you start playing with my mind? One day was, why are you wearing that skirt? It makes you look like a slut. Then the next day, oh, that's cute, I like it. I didn't know what you wanted from me. I didn't know what to say. But then it escalated. All you wanted was physical stuff. You'd pick me up, and I think we were going to dinner somewhere, and then you'd park.
Dear Diary, I remember my brother touching me. I was only 7, he was 14, and he kept asking about the different holes on my body, what they did, and like I would know, I was only 7! While he was touching me, he would tell me that it was supposed to feel good, but it hurt. I eventually told my mom about it, and she talked to him, but it didn't really stop. My therapist asked me if I thought my brother touching me had anything to do with my being a lesbian. I don't know, I guess it could. But I do really remember only being happy when I would play with the neighbor girl and we would build forts and we kissed a few times. I guess they could be related. Shit, I don't know. And really, all this started because I don't want to talk about it yet.
Dear John, you said I had to give you what you wanted. You applied the pressure, wanted more sexual things, and I started giving in. But what I gave wasn't enough. And when what I was willing to give you wasn't enough, you forced me. You forced my head down and forced me to go down on you. And I thought it was my fault. My fault, because I didn't say no. And I should have said no. So then I did. I said no. And you grabbed me by my hair, and you called me a bitch. And then after that, you called me a slut and took me home.
Dear Diary, he took me from behind. My friend was asleep. He took me from behind and had sex with me on his ugly, dirty couch. The entire time, while tears were streaming down my face, he was saying over and over again, I knew you weren't gay. I told you you weren't gay. I wanted to scream the entire time, but nothing would come out. It was my best friend's boyfriend. The first time I ever got drunk or high, but I thought I was safe. She was my best friend, and he was her sweet and caring boyfriend. She blamed me. How could she blame me? Now on top of everything, I don't have my best friend. Now I have to deal with that.
Dear John, you said I wasn't the kind of person you brought home to meet your parents. You said I wasn't good enough. You said you didn't even love me anymore. And you said I had to stay with you. The worst part is, I did. I stayed and I believed you when you said you wouldn't do it again, even though you did over and over again. I was trapped, no way out, and hiding and coming home every single night crying. And then the last straw was at your apartment. I'd started college, and you had graduated, and you had me over. Fun. You said we would have fun. You didn't say you'd call me a whore. You didn't say you'd listen when I said no. And you didn't say you'd keep coming at me when I pushed you away. And you didn't say you'd try to rape me and I'd have to fight you off.
Dear diary, each day I keep trying to work through all of this. I've lost my girlfriend. After it happened, I'd gone home to her and we made love. I know it wasn't the best idea to do that without telling her first or getting tested, but I wanted so bad to prove to myself that he didn't ruin me, that I was still worth loving. I wanted to tell her, but I didn't know how. I didn't want to have to know how. When I was 2 weeks late after for my period, I told her that he had sex with me and I might be pregnant. God, she was so mad. She told me to get out and not come back until I had every type of test possible and a counselor. She was actually the one that got me into therapy, the one who had come home saying that she thought I had been that. You know, he just left me on that couch. Just left me there to wipe off my own back, to sleep on the couch that he had done that to me on. I remember rocking from side to side, wishing for morning to come. This wasn't supposed to happen to me.
Dear John, I finally broke up with you, and I still can't stand when people touch my neck, trying to sneak up behind me and surprise me. I turn around with a fist, and it takes 20 minutes for me to figure out what I want to eat. I got so used to you making all my decisions for me. And after I broke up with you, you said we should get married. You said I had to do what you wanted. You said it was my fault and that I tempted you, and that I tempted you because I look like a whore. You said you were so hard that not enough oxygen could get to your brain, and you couldn't hear me say no. You said a lot of stupid shit, you selfish asshole.
Dear diary, my body isn't mine anymore. The only way I've been really able to deal with what happened is to eat. And I've been gaining a lot of weight. A lot. But if I'm fat enough, no guy will ever want to do that to me again. And I know that all the psychology and studies behind that make that idea not true. That a man will do that to a girl if he wants to, and her weight has nothing to do with it. God damn it! Why can't I just write it? Even say it! Rape! I was raped! And I want so much to be over it, and I keep hoping that maybe if I don't say the word, it'll mean it didn't happen. If I can just forget about it, I'll have my life back. But I also know that maybe if I can say the word, it'll mean I can start getting over it. Because I know I'm not kidding anyone when I say I can just forget about it. Rape. There. I said it.
Dear John, you made me obsess over what I did wrong, or what you did wrong, and I searched forever to find the fine line where it's no longer my fault, it's your fault. And the search kept me from sleeping, and then finally, I admitted that what you did can't be erased, and it was your fault. It was your fault. This ate me like cancer, haunting my memories, and scars that won't fade. Well, now I'm telling you that what you did was wrong, and I'm moving on. Marry you? No. Get back with you? No. Listen to you? Hell no. No, no, no. You said I had to do what you wanted. Well, I say no, not ever again.
They say what? They say a husband's blows leave no mark.
They say that where?
Russia.
So there's this girl, and man, she's brilliant, just like a star. She's beautiful, witty, smart, talented. She's an overall general badass girl. Man, I'm helplessly mesmerized by her. And I wish I could spend every moment with her. She knows this. But I have an issue. I'm a bit unique myself, actually. I'm the solitary drummer, marching to his own beat kind of guy. I'm not this macho, effortlessly chiseled, natural talented guy. Me, I like reading a good book, engaging in genuine conversation. Heck, I like folding laundry. Me, I'm the introverted closet poet, courting his lady kind of guy. And I know what you're expecting to hear, so I can't win the lady because I'm not this young Brad Pitt that her daydreams demand. Wrong. I'm exactly what she wants. Problem is I'm everything she's never had. So what the hell do I do with that? How do you work against someone's history? She grew up watching her parents play the dominant role of a submissive, abused wife, dominant husband, and oh yeah, she was a submissive daughter. How do I work against all those dirtbags that came before me? You know, the ones who abused her, misused her. They destroyed her perception, what it actually means to engage in a genuine relationship with someone. So she gets to college. And guys, they start taking interest. So who does she fall for? Ones who aren't good for her. She just wants so desperately to like me. Yeah, right. No, she does. No, yeah, she does like me. She wants desperately to want me, to crave me, to get the aches, the butterflies, the fireworks, the big kaboom. But there's nothing. No, there's not nothing. There's trust, honesty, respect, more than she's ever been able to give anyone she's been with before. But she's attracted to the other guy. You know, the ones who don't return calls, be vague about their relationships, blow her off to keep her wanting more. Oh, you know, playing the game. She's not an idiot. She knows every little twist and turn that they throw at her. She hates them, despises them, but yet she keeps going back to them, hating herself for it every minute. And why? I know why. Because that's all she knows. Hate to say it, but she's inherently comfortable being around a male-dominant figure because for the last 18 years of her life, that's all she really knew. You know, these other guys might have been good guys. Society didn't get to them and bred and educate this bullshit ideal that we call manhood. I'm sick and fucking tired of dealing with the repercussions of it. In what world do we think it is right to teach our sons that males are the dominant figure, physical strength is power, wealth is righteous, and beautiful women are a perfect accessory? Oh yeah, let's not forget that well-defined muscles and jawlines are a necessity. And forget that. So anyway, what do I want? Do I want to be loved as a brother or a lover? Could be a brother, be good enough as long as I know I'm in her life, being a positive force, reshaping her experience of what the male genders are. Or maybe not. One thing that I actually do know is that we really need to redefine what we call manhood. Because I know a man without a woman is a heartbreak. Trust me.
They say women are watches that keep bad time.
They say women in state affairs are like monkeys in glass houses.
They say the husband initiates, the wife obeys.
They say women, asses, and nuts require strong
are necessary evils.
They say, feed a woman and a horse every 3 days.
They say frailty, thy name is woman.
If the truth will set you free, then silence will build your cage. It is silence that allows dangerous practices and ideals of a few to thrive.
It is silence that allows the belief that the world can't, rather than won't, change for the better. That the world can't become free, equal, and full of hope.
It is silence that allows for 1 in 5 women to be raped or physically or sexually assaulted in her lifetime in the United States alone.
So stand up.
We've told you the stories of the women who sit next to you in class, the women who make your copies and smile at you in the hallway.
So stand up.
We have told you the stories of your friends, sisters, mothers, and daughters.
So stand up.
Ignorance is not bliss, because these statistics, 1 in 3, 1 in 5, 1.5 million, they have memories and faces and tears.
So stand up.
We're not asking for a miracle. It won't happen overnight. We're asking for a beginning, a first step.
So stand up.
Your preconceived notions of the world are wrong. Silence is not golden, it's deadly.
So stand up.
Stand up for justice. Stand up for beauty, for freedom, for truth, for sexuality.
Stand up for love. Stand up for yourself. Stand up for the belief that the world can become a better place.
Stand up for your children, for future generations, for the footsteps that we can follow.
Stand up for Jane. Stand up. Stand up. Stand up. Now, speak. Speak.
At this time, we will begin our talk back. If you would like to join us, feel free to sit back down and move forward. If not,
You free to go?
thank you for joining us. We
Thank
really
you for
appreciate it.
coming.
Thanks.